One of the best recruiters in the country is big game hunting in Morgantown. Is he going to stay, though?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia. I appreciate you guys for being here. Brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. That's right, 5 Hour Energy. Right now, you can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel right now and check it out, or 5 Hour Energy. Sorry. Check it out right now. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, guys, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every single day. We got a lot of you guys in here already. So obviously on today's show, we're going to talk about Chester Frazier. I'm going to provide proof that Chester Frazier is indeed still recruiting in Morgantown via my favorite screenshots, guys. I haven't brought a screenshot in a long time, and because it's hard to get people to agree to, sometimes I do it without their permission. It just depends on whether or not I'm ever going to talk to them again or whatever. In this scenario, I'm doing it unprompted without permission because the person wouldn't answer me. And I thought, you know what? The people deserve to know. We've been through a lot, man. And I'm being serious here. We've been through a lot over the last week and a half, right? Our fans have dealt with the NCAA tournament snub. And if you want to go back a couple years and talk Huggins and all that, you can. We've dealt with the Brown loss, obviously him not winning and getting pushed out. That hurt a lot of people. We've dealt with DeVries not wanting to be here. We've dealt with the tournament snub. We've dealt with all the fallout that comes from that, and, you know, being mad at people, and just, it's been horrible, man. And the last thing we need is another person not wanting to be here, right? And so I started doing my research today. I said, how are these offers going out in the portal if nobody's in Morgantown anymore? And there's a guy coaching in the NIT. Is Coach Hodge sending out offers to West Virginia while he's coaching in the NIT Final Four? Like, that's what I was asking myself. Like, what in the hell's going on here? And I'm fine with that if that's the case, you know. So I started doing research, looking at different players that West Virginia had offered, starting to get responses. Then I reached out to a couple of former coaches, was able to talk to Coach Everhart today, which was great. By the way, I have an announcement on that. I will be interviewing Ron Everhart, guys. He'll be talking about the hire. I'm sure he'll give his feelings on the new coach, Ross Hodge, just on how I'm going to ask him some questions about since the Huggins era and what he's been up to. And I know he's coaching some youth ball and different things like that. But, yeah, and his daughter just got engaged, and, man, she is a beautiful woman. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, guys, and I'm excited. So without further ado, obviously, and we have a lot to talk about. We have these players that he's offered. We want to talk about them too, because I got excited when I turned on the tape and looked at these players. There's a lot to like. So let's get to it. I promised you guys what I would do. So obviously, I don't think, this is guaranteeing that he's going to stay. But he is in Morgantown giving out offers right now. This is my conversation with Terrence Ginyard, who obviously West Virginia had recently offered in the transfer portal. He is coming out of Tennessee Chattanooga, I believe it is. A really good basketball player, obviously, and averaged 16 points a game. So I said, hey, man, I'm with Locked On West Virginia. Just a couple questions for you. Who is reaching out to kids out of West Virginia right now? Chester Frazier has been in contact with my agent, and he went on to say you have to reach back out to find out just who, not just who, but just if he's going to continue to be at West Virginia and all that kind of stuff. And as of right now, that's the case. He is reaching out to players at West Virginia. Chester Frazier's under contract until 2026. So while some of this is common sense, he's under contract. He's going to do Just like Grim Baker asked those guys last year to do the job, he's going to ask these guys this year to do the job, right? We had guys in Morgantown hitting the portal recruiting a little bit during the Darren DeBreeze transition. So I'm a little confused. Somebody said something about DoorDash. I don't know. Maybe it's something on my, it's hard to say. But who are these players that he's reached out to? There's two that I was able to prep for in this short amount of time to talk with you guys about. Really good players. So let's talk about them. Number one, going to be Terrence Brown. 20 points per game last year at Fairleigh Dickinson, which these days, guys, we see it all the time. Mid-major players are sometimes better than players on Power 4 rosters, right? It's just the way it is. There's so many more basketball players than football players, right? Not overall, but just good basketball. There's so many good basketball players. You just can't, and there's separate positions, right? You can only have two big men or one big man in some case, so a really good big man's not going to go where a really good big man already is. A lot of times your good guard may not want to play with another good guard if it's the same kind of player. Terrence Brown, 55% field goal percentage, which is really, really good last year at Fairleigh Dickinson. He averaged 20 points a game, 5 assists a game. He's a sophomore, guys. So this is this would be an elite grab out of the portal. I wrote down here, elite two-way player. If you go watch his highlight cut up, and I'll admit, and I advise you guys not to do this, so this is me going against my own advice here, but I didn't have a lot of time. I watched a highlight cut up. I watched 3 separate ones. And, unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch any game film, which is what I recommend if you're actually going to evaluate a player, right? You need to watch game film if you can. Even if it's just on TV, you can do it, right? In this case, I didn't have time. But what I was able to see is he's a really good two-way player. His first few cut-ups have him in the open court getting passing lanes, stealing basketballs, and slam dunking the thing. And, oh, by the way, he is at least Javon Small athlete. He's a very good athlete. He can get way up there. Similar size to Javon. He struggles, shooting the ball off the dribble. It's really, really ugly at times. So this is your classic Joe Toussaint, who I bring up a lot, it seems like anymore. But or maybe like a early on Jawan Staten before he became a good shooter, a guy that really, really good at getting to the rim. He scored 20 points a game, and he's not a great shooter off the dribble, guys. So what he does well is he comes off screens really well. Who does that sound like? Not saying anything like this is going to be Javon Small, but just comparing it to last year. This is a kid that's really good coming off screens, and he loves playing in passing lanes. Like I said, he's excellent in transition. This is the kind of player you want if you want to go fast. He can get up and down the court in a hiccup and in a hurry. So that's what's fun about it. We've got a couple hundred of you guys over on X. Looks like I'm close to 140 here on YouTube. I appreciate that, Shaq. Yeah, if you guys could hit the like button. Also, we have a couple new mods in here, which is Raven and Shaq. Dylan, I will be making you one as well. I meant to do that already, but I couldn't remember your YouTube name. We'll talk about it later. So thank you guys for make sure you reach out to the new mods. Tell them thank you. What they're going to do basically is monitor the room, make sure nobody's cussing anybody out. I don't mind cursing really, generally, as long as it's not too vulgar, and it's not, you guys know what's right and what's not. I shouldn't have to explain it. I'm not some hardcore. I don't really care, as long as people aren't getting attacked. If they're coming at me, it's okay. Like, seriously, because I like that engagement in the chat. I don't mind it. Sometimes I like to banter with it. It just depends on what it is, what they're saying. You guys can use your best judgment. Also, I wrote down here, has the potential to be a better shooter. Based off his shooting form, in my opinion, I think, I don't know. He's only a sophomore. So at a place like West Virginia, you can get better faster than at a place like Fairleigh Dickinson just because of the equipment, the training. There's always somebody that's going to be willing to come out there and give you, to play under the rim and get rebounds and pass you the ball, or you can just get a machine, right? I don't know if you have that at Fairleigh Dickinson. So Terrence Brown is the first athlete, guys, that I really feel like is, of the two guys, I would probably, because we're going to talk about Ginyard next. Of the two, they're very similar players, but one is a junior, one is a senior. So let's go to break really quick, and we'll talk about a couple other things. We got the donor support that's kind of hanging out there. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Ginyard as well. Two really good players. Chester Frazier has gone hunting in the portal. We'll be right back. This is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Nissan. We're all about the stats because numbers never lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on a Javon Small MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team, plus the gear wherever you go. Powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. With room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the WVU Coliseum, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more about that today at nissanusa.com. And where would we be without our friends over at FanDuel, guys? March Madness is here, not there. FanDuel is here to give you a chance to get in on the action, right now, because new customers can get $200 in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet. That's $200 in extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories. And even who's cutting down them nets? Is that Dan Hurley? No, he's gone. Picking my favorites is the way I like to do it. I've got an eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. FanDuel app is easy to use, simple, really simple. And when I win, I get paid instantly, right meow, no waiting around. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on all the college hoops action all tournament long. It's segment 2. Let's crack a do. Let's talk a little bit about this next player, and we'll talk about donor support. Okay, so I think you're splitting hairs between these two players if you're talking about total ability. Yeah. So if you're talking about total ability, one of my monitors, I can't see them all the time. Okay. Terrence Ginyard, 16.5 points per game, 5 rebounds per game. So different in that he's more of a rebounding guard, and he's a bigger than obviously Terrence Brown was. This is Terrence Ginyard, so Terrence and Terrence. He is a junior, obviously, played in over at Tennessee Chattanooga or whichever one of those smaller Tennessee schools. 55% field goal percentage. 48% of his shots are taken in the paint or, inside the three-point line. 31% of his three-point shots go in. So both of these players are low percentage three-point shooters, high defensive IQ, high defensive ability, gets in passing lanes, really good in the open floor, elite coming off screens, really good passers, able to make jump shots, to the point where you have to respect them, but definitely not Javon Small or even more than that, where they're in those high 30s to 40s in three-point percentage. So, I don't know, maybe you could have two of these guys on one team if you fill out a bunch of shooters around them. Absolutely. I mean, you can have a 1 and a 2 that don't shoot it elite as long as you've got a 3, a 4, a 3 and a 4 that do, or a 4 and a 5 that do, or some combination of one. You got to at least have 2 shooters on the floor, in my opinion. Because what else? I mean, if you got one guy on the floor, they could just do like they did Jonathan Powell this year, which is the deny. And if he's a guy that's a spot up guy that really has no dribble game, to create for themselves, it can get hairy. So They know how to build the team. I'm not going to, obviously going to complain too much. Both of these guys are worth getting. I don't know if they'll go after both. I think it kind of tells the story that they did offer both because, they're basically the same kind of player, and they're both being offered by every other program. These are high major players that were playing at the mid-major level, and if West Virginia gets them, they're starters instantly, most likely. You're talking, 16 to 20 points per game average. So definitely going to be interesting, guys. I think it's nice to have Frazier in tow right now. It's nice to have him at the helm, at least doing his diligence. And, what I was told by somebody else that I wasn't able to share is it's not a no with Frazier right now. And I think that if Hodge offers him the job and he keeps the same or maybe even a little better salary, I think he'll stay. I think he's worth it. I think you can pay him a little more. I think he deserves that. You're not paying this guy as much as DeVries was getting. So, and you got a pretty decent chunk of money. So you might as well make his assistants. If you're going to hire a guy with 2 years of experience, how about give him some elite assistants? How about that? How about give him a Chester Frazier who you can't go out and find a better assistant out there right now than him? Why? Because he's already connected to this program. Why? Because he could have already got a head coaching job. Guys, at the low level, he's waiting for the big opportunity. Let him get it here with Ross Hodge. Let him do him with some continuity for once in this staff. Obviously, I just think it's a no-brainer. And let's hope that it continues to stay like. But like I said, I was able to confirm that it is him that's reaching out to these kids, and it is him that's working for West Virginia right now. And that's a step in the right direction because he could just say, hey, I'm out, right? Or, hey, we'll make a deal and I want to go move on to other ventures or whatever, right? Darren DeVries is in Indiana, Bloomington. But he's not. He's doing what Wren's probably asked him to do, which is kind of stabilize everything right now and at least get some offers out to players so there's at least a pre-existing relationship or the agent has our name and whatever. Because if you get into these late, the kid's going to be like, oh, yeah, now you're offering me now that every other program in the country has. Or, oh, yeah, you're offering me, but I've already got these 5 offers to consider. I can't even think about another one right now. Let me go through these 5. It's not West Virginia really little to do with it. It's offers, right? So you either got to come in above where everybody else is if you don't get in when everybody else does, or you've got to hope they really like your place, like Isaac McNeely, or something like somebody that has a tie back to your state, and hopefully you can get them a little cheaper. That's the win-win, but that's not going to happen, most likely. Is McNeely going to come to West Virginia for a discount like Tucker did? Probably not. So his dad's not coaching there, and I don't even know if he'll listen. Maybe he wants to get as far from Polka, West Virginia as possible, and I've been to Polka. Not much there. So I had some friends there. Actually, JJ Roberts, the Marshall safety, his brothers do a podcast on West Virginia podcast. You may know them. And so they're really good guys, really, really good guys. And they're from Polka. So now let's get to some kind of worser news. And let me put a bow on this Frazier thing first. I'll say this. I think we've got a better than 50% chance to keep him long-term. I wouldn't be shocked if he left either. There is some Virginia Tech smoke out there for him and Nelson both, from what I understand. I just think Ross, it only takes a phone call. I don't know why we have to wait for Ross Hodge to finish all this to get some of this stuff figured out. Like if Nelson or if Chester was going to stay, and Nelson too, I would love to keep Nelson. By the way, no offense to Nelson that I haven't said anything about him yet. It's just I don't know what he's doing, and I haven't called him because you guys know I've had him on the show here. I do talk to Nelson Hernandez, but I haven't in a little while, and since the job thing happened. But Nelson's a great guy too, man. He really is, and he just wants to win, like he put on X. And I don't know if he would tell me anything, to be honest. One thing about our relationship was I never really got much intel from Nelson. He just wasn't going to give it up. He learned his lesson at LSU, I think, with Will Wade. And I don't know if he gave up any intel even then, but they got busted, right? And so busted's a bad word, but that didn't end well. So he doesn't trust media people very often. It took me a long time to even get him to talk with me about certain things. I'm getting off track again. So let's move on to the next subject here. But I will say that Chester Frazier, I think he'll probably stay in Morgantown. I would love to get some more. I would love to get some more confirmation on that. We'll try over the next few days, guys. Let's go to break really quick since we're there at that 20-minute mark, and then we'll talk about the donor situation right after the break. Stick around.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is also going to be brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, guys. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun and activities, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament or squeezing in an extra round of golf after work, you're just trying to stay up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy keeps you quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Basketball madness is here, and I've been staying up late watching the tournament action all night long, and 5 Hour Energy helps keep me awake that next hard and brutal day sometimes. On-the-go convenience is all about 5 Hour Energy, obviously. Whether I'm at a game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps me feeling refreshed. Head over to 5hourenergy.com to find 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, or peach mango. You can even build your own 12 or 24 packs delivered right to your door. Do you need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store because they're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. All right, guys. So as we enter in here to segment 3, so I caught this article here by Mike Oste, and it's a little worrisome, to be honest. This source is donors hesitant support West Virginia head basketball coach Ross Hodge, and this is kind of off a tweet that he had. Here's a major concern about Ross Hodge, aside from picking apart his resume. I've heard from several donor sources that they are hesitant to donate big money for him. They do not like the hire. Of course, they do not speak for all donors. The issue for them is WV's brand was worse off last year and landed a coach more on the national map. West Virginia is coming off a big turnaround year and has a much more money now, yet ended up with a coach who doesn't pop as much and has never been to an NCAA tournament. Hodge can end up working out, and I get Ren Baker knows him well, so trust him. But that's the type of stuff I'm hearing from these donors. It's also hard to argue with what they are saying. So I want to go 2 routes on this. Number one, I totally disagree with Mike Oste and his take on, and maybe I'll bring him on to debate him for this, because I don't think that the Ross Hodge resume thing, it pisses me off, to be honest. Go find Bob Huggins' resume after 2 years at Division I. Please, somebody go find it. Go find Darren DeVries' resume after 2 years in Division I. It looks pretty damn similar to Ross Hodge's. It's not Ross Hodge's fault that he got a job quicker than most people do. I just think it's nothing. Not very many people make the NCAA tournament in their second year anywhere. You're still building it. It blows me away. You know why he got this job? Number one, a pre-existing relationship was a reason, yes. But there's been a chorus of coaches that I mean, maybe West Virginia went and said, hey, could you say something nice about this coach? We're feeling heat here. But otherwise, probably unprovoked, a lot of chorus of coaches coming out saying, hey, that guy's a rising star. Maybe Ren Baker just knew that and made a hire that he knew was going to be a little unpopular. But you don't make this hire without the feeling it's going to work. Ren Baker has coached college basketball before. He knows whether somebody has the acumen to do it or not. It's not like, if you or I were going to do it and are layman in basketball terminology at a high level, right? Like I can look at something and say, okay, that's a 2-3 zone. That's a 1-3-1. I can do that, obviously. But am I like a Darren DeVries where I could draw up plays based off the tendencies or based off this? No. And not many people can. Ren Baker can. So he hasn't really missed. And I know that's said a lot, but he really hasn't. And I just think that this whole thing with the donors, it's just so counterproductive. It just is. Thank God rev share kicks in because hopefully they get the money they need anyway. It makes no sense. I don't trust this coach, so I'm not going to donate. That's just like, I don't know, man. I get it on one point because you can't expect people to just give their hard-earned money. I know I'm going to hear that in the comments. But how can you handicap a person and then say, see, he sucks? Let's do a little fun experiment. Let's all start a Monopoly game. But you have to bring your own money. And you're the player. But you don't have any money, and you have to get people to sponsor you, right? But those people don't sponsor you. So you have to come to the Monopoly game with hopes and dreams. And hopefully your raw talent will get you through while everybody else is able to afford Boardwalk, Park Place, right? The train stations. And you have to just get through it somehow, and hopefully not make bad decisions and just barely build your way up. Like it just, to me, it's so silly. Like just support the guy, normal. I'm not saying go above and beyond or anything like that. Just do what you've been doing for Darren DeVries. Do whatever it was you did for him and just give this guy a fighting chance. Like what's the point of handicapping him? I don't get it. Makes no sense. Says they are hesitant to donate big money for him. They don't like to hire. In addition to how those anonymous donors feel, the biggest booster of them all did make a comment. Ken Kendrick, one of West Virginia's most known donors, also owns the Diamondbacks, weighed in on X. He said, I have learned over my last 25 years of hiring professional coaches that both competence and character matter. I hope Ross Hodge brings both of those qualities to West Virginia, said Ken Kendrick. Ross Hodge is a proven winner, said Ren Baker, and a leader who demonstrated success at every stop of his career. He has won more than 80% of his games as a head coach while establishing himself as one of the best defensive minds in the sport. His team's play of toughness and grit, Mountaineer Nation will love the passion his players have for the game, said Ren Baker. More importantly, he's an incredible human and family man. His wife, Shelley, along with their children, Emery and Reed, will be great assets to our community and state. Please join me in welcoming them to Almost Heaven. So that's pretty much the article in a nutshell. I don't know. I'll say this too. I haven't seen any donors come out and say they're not going to support, obviously. And I guess you never really do. The most I've seen from this is like message board stuff, which can be sometimes substantial. A lot of donors are on message boards. That's a fact. Promise you that. I know that for sure. I have donors in my message board, right? In my Discord that reach out to me. I do know a few donors, obviously, that I speak to, and it's not like all these donors have a group chat. So like they don't all know what the other's thinking. There's some thoughts that couple of the bigger ones maybe like Alvarez Farmer, maybe not. I don't know what they're doing, but like we need guys like that to be on board with this. But my whole point is this: whether you're on board with this or not, how can you not just logically look at this and say, you know what? I didn't get the guy I wanted, and neither did I, by the way. No, I don't think anybody had Ross Hodge number one. If you did, you're a savant. If you did, you're a genius, right? But I've gotten to know him, and I've gotten to look into him, and I can find reasons to support him until he gives me reasons not to, just like with Neil Brown. I waited 4 years, guys, and I was doing YouTube for 2 of those years before I ever really went in on Neil Brown. So I think that you can draw some comparisons there between Ross and Neil. I think he's a similar hire to a Neil Brown from a safety standpoint. I think, Rich Rod is obviously a wild card. He could say or do anything at any time. Now, is he going to get himself in trouble? Most likely not, but we know he has at Arizona. So I think Rimbaker also, he went the safe route, which is what they like. I think he also went, and this is something I was told during the Rich Rod coaching search, that Rimbaker likes coaches that he can hang out with and have over for dinner and be around his family, and their growing kids can hang out together. So he hired a guy of a similar age, not a shock, that he can probably hang out with, that he'll get along with, that he already knows, that's at a similar financial spot. I think that's part of it too. And if you can hire a good coach and do that, I'll be, great job, Ren. I think time will tell. You're going to be attached to these 2 hires, not to perpetuity, but for a long time. And you better hope the football one works out for sure. But even this basketball one could come back and bite you because you're known as a basketball guy. So I think that we're going to be fine. I really do think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be kind of ugly at times, kind of like some of our Huggins teams, until we add some more talent. Maybe we go out and get a bunch of offensive guys that play both ways. I don't know. Let's see what we get. Certainly the 2 guys that I talked about in today's episode would be guys that can score it, but not they're not Javon Small gifted, Who is, by the way. I don't mean to keep comparing people to that. I'm just saying when I say Javon Small gifted, I mean a player that can score off the dribble, off the catch, off of screens, in transition, and play defense, right? It's almost like a 5-tool player in baseball. There's just no weakness or very little weakness. And even then, Javon Small at the rim had incredible body control on an elite level to where he can hang in the air and make these shots. These guys have all that pretty much, except for the catch and shoot and the off the dribble stuff that Javon Small could do. So we're going to have to add some more, and I don't even know if we'll get these guys. The point of me even talking about them really was so that I could show you. And now that we have 600 people watching, I'll show it again. So this is the screenshot that I showed earlier, guys, for those of you that are new in here right now. I will say this too, if you don't mind, hit the like button, please. I mean, I don't have to. This is a personal thing that I'm sharing because I care about you guys. I really, truly do. And I try to bring you into the know with me on certain things. Is this me sharing like the Pat White thing earlier or something? No. But is this me sharing intel with you for free? I think it is. And I don't see a lot of guys in this space doing that. So I think it's worth a like and a subscription if you're new. This is me talking to Terrence Ginyard, who's getabuck.t. This is just me simply saying, hey, I saw West Virginia reached out, and he said Chester Frazier has been in contact with my agent. And he went on to say that he wants to make sure that he's going to be the coach, right? He's going to continue to be at West Virginia. And so I talked to a couple other people that said that, a couple said unsure. And then one other person said that, look, if they offer him a good contract and everything, he'll stay. So I think, there's some risk in it for a guy like Frazier to tie himself to Ross Hodge, right? Because he don't know him. He don't know how he's going to turn out. It's Darren DeVries is more of a known commodity. So I can see why he may be a little scared of that. but certainly with the right contract, the right situation, if you're really betting on yourself here, there's no reason that he won't stay, guys. I still think 60-40 or so, I think Chester stays. So, but I wanted to show you guys, hey, Chester Frazier is offering players. That's at least something, right? Because we've been in the dark. We didn't know if there was anybody doing anything for West Virginia. So we at least know that. We know that he's, probably at the Puskar Center offering players or making phone calls from his home cell or whatever. But he's definitely working the portal for at least for Ross Hodge and why he's gone. And best case scenario, he sticks around, right? Because we need that to happen. And we also need those high school recruits to come back into the fold. Even if it's just one of them, it would be a big help to this year's team. So thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys. It's the weekend. It's the freaking weekend, baby, and I'm about to have me some fun. Make sure you guys are safe this weekend and enjoy yourselves. Tell somebody next to you you love them, because I think that's sometimes something we miss. And I'll be here. I'll be going live every day of the week like I always do, 7 days a week. We try to do multiple times a day if we can. Don't always have the content to do it, but, stuff has kind of slowed down a little bit now that the coaching thing has gone final, so I don't have as many rounds left in the chamber. But I think I'll get through the weekend just fine. Maybe I'll take one day off. I don't know. I'm too motivated to do that, though. I'm trying to grow this thing, and, we grew several hundred over the coaching search, so that was fun. But hopefully if you guys have stuck around, you came for the coaching search, hopefully you stayed for the Mountain Dew maybe, right? I don't know. But I love you guys. I really do, and I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you guys thank the new mods in the chat, which is Raven and Shaq. They're doing a great job. And I'll see you guys later. Let's see what happens this weekend. Maybe we'll get some Chester Frazier confirmation. I'll talk to you later. I'm out.